All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. And as you can see by the title, today your stern yet fair DM is working on some terrain and getting some miniatures painted. I've got the first layer on these guys. I'm getting ready to dry brush them again. Um, I used a plain red. Now, this dry brush will be a little bit lighter, but it's bold pyrite red. This is a very bright red. And once I've got them all highlighted to the color, the red I want them to be, this is Trench Pilgrims for Trench Crusade. Then I'll go back with a small brush and I'll pick out all the Molotov cocktails and rifles and, things that aren't red, which there are quite a few things there. I just now sat down and painted this guy. I'm actually surprised at how quick he was to paint. So let's get him up here. This is a new Antioch heavy infantryman in heavy mechanized armor with the machine gun. And I decided to play on a Eastern Front ambush pattern for the camouflage. I'm thinking I'll go back with my fine brush and black line all the different blotches just to make them pop more, but I'm pretty happy with it, And I started out with just this red brown and primer, and then I, went ahead and did it up. I mean, I still have to finish this freaking communicant, which is going to be probably for that army, maybe, because I'm finding out that there are actually rules in this game that state that you can't just spend all your points on like one type of troop, which makes me sad because I was kind of looking forward to that, 20 troopers with bolt action rifles and bayonets led by, a prophet and just freaking swarm my opponent with his 5 guys. I mean, even though each of my guys would have individually been much, much weaker, it would have just, the theory is just pure volume of fire would win the game in the end, just pure volume of fire. Scatter my guys across the board, in groups, in little groups. And just every time you get line of sight on an enemy miniature, shoot it like 4 times or until it's removed, just boom, 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 boom. And, if you got to fight in a hand-to-hand combat, you got 4 versus 1. Odds aren't horrible, odds aren't horrible. So that would have been my choice of army. And I guess it shows off my Imperial Guard roots, since that's kind of what I do with my Imperial Guard is I just, like my Death Corps of Krieg army, which is painted up and everything, has 100 infantrymen in it. That, of course, that's counting heavy weapons. Now, right now, I'm using one of my favorite products ever, honestly. This is Vallejo's Diorama FX Thick Mud. And I'm just using my finger because this stuff, when it dries kind of like school glue, which means you can kind of just peel it off. Or I could wear some gloves. I've got like a whole box of gloves, for when I'm dealing with the 3D printer. But, this is kind of fun. Now, what's going to happen here might disgust some of you. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a warning, because I know maybe some people who aren't used to what I'm doing or whatever are going to watch this video. And if they do, I want them to know this terrain piece, once this is dried, you see, It's just a little bit of pink foam with a polystyrene base to keep it nice and sturdy, and also to keep the edges of the pink foam from breaking. The polystyrene is about half an inch bigger than the pink foam, but the good thing is that the mud fills it all in. So now we've got a little tiny rise that can be used in game for cover. Now over here is my trench board that I've built right here. And as you can see, it's got a trench on one side that goes from one side all the way to the other. And then it's got like a little trench and an OP and whatever, right? And so I was talking to my buddy the other day, and he's like, well, who gets to decide who starts in the trench and who has to cross no man's land? And I was like, well, what if you play the other sides so that both sides start in the trench? And your men will be literally fighting to clear the trench, but you'll have a location on either side, a little fortification, and then of course put as much scenery on as possible, so that you kind of break up line of sight, so that that trick I was talking about doesn't work. Now, what's going to make this hill extra good for some people is I 3D printed a bunch of dead and rotting crucified human bodies, and I'm going to put like 4 of them on this hill, because this is an evil hill, right? This hill is a hill where the forces of hell have captured and did horrible things to our good guys, our brave troopers, trench pilgrims, whatever it is. They got done dirty here, right? And so not only does the hill function as a game piece, because it's gonna, I also have some of these guys that got ropes around their neck that you can just like glue to something to show that they're like hanging off of it. So some of those I've actually already like have hanging off of like check hedgehogs, or planking for barbed wire fences and stuff. Um, I'm going to print out a bunch of skeletons too, and probably like glue them around the craters and stuff like that, like in out of the way places where they won't affect the placement of any of the scatter terrain, but yet, where they'll be on the table. So this table, I mean, I'm going all in. This is really only going to be useful for Trench Crusade, because I'm probably getting rid of most of my other games. I've already put a thing out on one of the sites that where you can sell product, telling people what I've got and that I don't want to have it anymore, and how to contact me and such. So I may actually get rid of some of my Imperial Guardsmen. I'm definitely going to get rid of all of my 40K stuff. It's all going to go. And I've got like 4 armies, but they're all going to go. Why? Because one, I don't play the game. I haven't played the game in years. The latest edition I just hated. I thought it was trash from the get-go. And I'm no longer a big fan of like the this competition, like the scene, It's like back in the 90s and 2000s and stuff. Yeah, that was my gig back then, but not anymore. I show up to the comic shop. There's people there. I don't know these people. They don't know me, you know, and I'm just not really super interested in gaming with people that I don't know, who don't know me, because I can be a crotchety curmudgeon, and I've had to like put people in their place a couple of times at the comic shop. Like one time, I literally had to smack a guy, and I wasn't a fan, and I started thinking about it, and I was like, that's messed up, Like, you just can't be around other people. And that's kind of why I stay home now. Because I can't be around other people. Because my tolerance for stupidity has gotten so small, right? But my willingness to commit violence has only grown as I've gotten older. So yeah, that's one of the reasons I don't go to the comic shop, because I ain't got time to deal with the bullshit. Uh, a lot of the people who hang out there are definitely on a different political level than I am. So when I walk in with my commie killer shirt or something, I don't know what it is about people who feel like they can make comments to strangers about things. You know what I mean? Because I would never or I would never start a conversation by talking shit about someone else's shirt because I disagree with the political statement. Like I had a guy, that had emotions about my commie killer shirt from Grunt Style, and he's like talking shit, and I'm just like, shut the F up. I hate communists. I did, in fact, help remove some from the earth. And, so F yourself already, And most of the time when I like go off on somebody like that and tell them to leave me alone and fuck themselves, I'm just not interested in hearing anything they got to say. 99% of the time, they leave me alone. But there's always that one guy, and it's usually the skinny, weedy, freaking soy boy who won't shut up because they've never been punched in the head before. Like in their whole lives, they've just never been punched in the head. And they don't understand that it can happen. Right? They don't get it. They just think they can run their mouth as much as they want to anyone, as much as they want. I dealt with that recently, with a condescending person who thought they could talk down to me about stuff. And, this is a guy who probably has never been in a fight in his whole life and somehow has gotten to his head that he has the right to say whatever he wants to whomever he wants. And I had to disarm him of that mistake. But that's not the kind of thing I like to do or want to do ever, because when I lose my temper, I always feel horrible afterwards. It's always like, I'm always like, damn, man, you lost your temper. That's not cool, because I've always thought that as a man, you want to be always in control of your emotions, right? You don't want to be an emotional person that's just like easy to be instigated into something. But like Chevelle said, though, in their song The Red, yeah, it filters through. And there's not a lot you can do about it. Sad, really. Sad. You know? Because luckily the management and the owners, if I go off on somebody for messing with me, in the past, they've never, said anything to me about it because we're pretty cool like that. But the day may come where, I find myself down at 33rd again, which is a big, basically prison in Orlando. And I can tell you right now, I didn't like it the last time I was there. And I don't believe I would like it again another time. So, yeah, the whole thing is just like stupid. So, it's sad because all of the guys I used to game with in 40K, they all moved away. Like my one bro's up in East Tennessee somewhere, living, the homesteader life or whatever. And it's like, so anyway, all of that aside, because it doesn't really matter. The point is, yes, if you're on Facebook and you are a friend of mine on Facebook, I know there's a few of you who are. I have listed, things I have for sale, and I have a ton of stuff for sale. Role-playing games, some of them still in the shrink wrap. As a matter of fact, if somebody's willing to come off the ducats, I've got an Indomitus box set for Warhammer 40K still in the shrink wrap, not even open. But that thing, I would cut somebody a deal on it. But remember that last time I checked on, the last time I checked on eBay, that thing was like $350. So would I cut somebody a deal just to be cool? Yeah, if they're a buddy. Yeah, I always cut my buddies a deal, but I mean, still, I'm not gonna just give something like that away, And then I have tons of books and for various role-playing games, many editions, etc. So it's like, yeah. And if it's local people, I'll just meet them somewhere. You know what I mean? I'll be like, I'll meet you at the, Mexican restaurant on 13th, and then they can meet me there. That'll be fine. But yeah. So anyway, the mud is still somewhat tacky, but as you can see, now it's a little hill, but it's full of, crucified corpses and stuff. So once they are painted, I mean, that's going to look pretty nasty, on the battlefield. That's going to be like, damn. But I warned you guys, Trench Crusade is definitely an adult game. And I don't know if the creator meant for it to be, but it's definitely a hardcore. It's definitely a game that is very attractive to people who are very Christian. Like, being able to play the Christians fighting demons and heretics and shit is just kind of the best, It really is. It's just like, damn, this is awesome, So you'll hear some bad stuff about the creators of the game. But honestly, I don't think it's the creators of the game. I think it's the people the creators of the game have chosen to run social media for them. They are, in fact, like the worst kind of people. I mean, that's a fact. So when people are like, don't buy games from people who hate you, the people who run the Discord for this game, they definitely hate people like me. But then again, there's a part of me, since like the red guys, not a single part of them was made by the creators of this game. Most of the stuff I have was not made by the creators of this game, right? So there's a part of me that would counter, like when Diversity and Dragons and pundits say don't buy games from people who hate you. Maybe it's not good, but my spiteful nature is like, oh, they don't want me to play their game? Well, now I'm definitely going to play their game. And not only am I going to play their game, I'm going to play their game in a way that I know they would not approve of. And I'm going to be as hardcore about it as possible. That's called spite. And no one on a planet is as spiteful as an old, army vet. It's just not possible, right? So if the Trench Crusade guys don't like that I supported Trump, I'm a veteran, I think England's a piece of shit floating out in the middle of the ocean that needs to straighten itself up, I'm okay with that, because it will not stop me from building my, this has nothing to do with Trench Crusade. It's Communicant, but it was made by a whole different company. Yeah, I will play this game out of spite, is what I'm saying. One, because I enjoy the game, and two, because I'm not going to let them tell me what I can and cannot do. And on top of that, as I've posted in other videos, I'll come up with my own lore if I feel like their lore is stupid. Which, to be honest, sometimes it kind of is, like they do and say things that are like, no, come on. But, that's just the way life is. So basically, I think I've said everything I have to say in this video, and then rambled on for 10 minutes or more. So I'll catch you in the next one. I'm going to build another hill. I've got enough of these guys to build at least one or two more. And then let them dry out and give them a paint job. Won't that be nice? And then there'll be more scatter terrain. I'm going to have a big plastic box to keep all my scatter terrain in. As a matter of fact, this is a piece of scatter terrain. It's a 3D printed bunker, but it's in this hill. And I'm thinking about actually shaving the back down more, so that's more like the front. And you can see I've got the walkways leading up into it. This thing could be set so many different places on the map that, it's actually a very, very functional piece of terrain. And, whatever you got to do. Of course, I started this project out thinking I was going to build a modular trench map. That didn't work out. So I'm going to have to rely on tons of scatter terrain to make it feel modular, even though it's not. Peace and love. God bless. Good gaming. And if I didn't see you in this video, hopefully I'll see you in the next one.